Have you ever witnessed someone being underestimated, only to reveal a talent so extraordinary it silences every critic in the room? That's exactly what happened to Miguel Alvarez, a humble janitor and single father whose hidden abilities changed not only his life but the entire company where he worked. If this is your first time joining us, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible real-life stories that remind us never to judge a book by its cover. Miguel wiped sweat from his brow as he pushed his cleaning cart down the hallway of Pinnacle International, an elite marketing firm specializing in global campaigns. The executives barely acknowledged his existence as they hurried past in designer suits, eyes fixed on their phones. He'd grown accustomed to being invisible during his 3 years working the night shift. At 42, Miguel's weathered hands told the story of a man who had known hard work his entire life. But those hands had once turned pages of books in 5 different languages before they'd learned to mix cleaning solutions. Every night after his shift ended at 2 a.m., Miguel would return to his small apartment in the outskirts of the city where Mrs. Patel from next door would be waiting. The elderly woman had become like family, watching over Miguel's daughter, Sophia, while he worked. Sophia, at 12 years old, was the center of Miguel's universe. Her mother had passed away from cancer when she was just 4, leaving Miguel to navigate parenthood alone in a country where he still sometimes felt like a foreigner despite having lived there for 15 years. "How was your night, Papa?" Sophia would ask when he woke her for school, her sleepy eyes always filled with admiration that Miguel wasn't sure he deserved. "The same as always, mi corazón," he would reply, never burdening her with the reality of how the corporate employees treated him. Miguel had once been a professor of linguistics in his home country, fluent in Spanish, English, Portuguese, French, and Italian. But when he immigrated seeking better medical treatment for his wife, his credentials weren't recognized. After her passing, finding stable work with hours that allowed him to be there for Sophia when she returned from school became his priority. Janitorial work at night was the answer, even if it meant hiding his education and talents. The morning that changed everything started like any other. Miguel was finishing his shift, emptying trash bins in the conference room where the executive team would be meeting later. The room began filling with marketing directors arriving early to prepare for a major presentation. Miguel kept his head down, trying to finish quickly and make himself scarce. "Johnson, where's the translation team?" demanded Marcus Wells, the company CEO, as he burst through the doors. "The Galicia Group representatives will be here in 2 hours, and I need someone who can speak Spanish fluently for this deal." "They're stuck at the airport in Chicago, sir," replied Johnson nervously. "Storms delayed all flights. They won't make it until tomorrow at the earliest." Marcus slammed his portfolio onto the table. "This is unacceptable. We've been working on this account for months. If we can't communicate properly today, they'll walk straight to our competitors." The tension in the room was palpable as executives frantically made calls trying to find a last-minute translator. Miguel continued his work, emptying the last trash can as quietly as possible. "What about him?" said Vanessa Clark, pointing at Miguel with a manicured finger. "Hey, janitor. You're Hispanic, right? Can you translate for us today?" The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Miguel. He stood straight, cleaning cloth still in hand. "I could help," he said softly, his accent barely noticeable. The room erupted in laughter. "Sure, we'll let the guy who cleans toilets handle our multi-million-dollar deal," snickered Marcus. "I'm sure your Spanish is great for ordering tacos, but we need professional translation." Vanessa approached Miguel, a mocking smile on her face. "Translate this," she said slowly, as if speaking to a child. "If you can translate this entire presentation perfectly, my salary's yours for a month." She laughed, glancing back at her colleagues who joined in the cruel joke. Miguel felt his face flush with embarrassment, but also with something else, determination. He thought of Sophia, of the leaking roof in their apartment, of the college fund that remained nearly empty despite years of saving every penny. "I accept your challenge," he said quietly. The laughter grew louder. Oh my God, he's serious. Johnson hooted. This is priceless. Marcus, still fuming about the situation, rolled his eyes. Look, we don't have time for this nonsense. Someone get this man back to his cleaning duties and find me a real translator. But Vanessa, perhaps enjoying the cruel entertainment, waved a hand. No, wait. Let's see what he's got. I could use some comic relief before this stressful meeting. She thrust her tablet toward Miguel, displaying the complex presentation filled with marketing jargon, financial terms, and technical specifications. Go ahead, janitor. Dazzle us. Miguel took a deep breath, set down his cleaning supplies, and began to read. What followed shocked everyone in the room. In flawless, accent-free Spanish, he translated the entire first slide with perfect precision, capturing not just the words but the nuanced meaning and cultural context. He didn't just translate, he elevated the content, making it more compelling, more culturally appropriate. The smirks faded. Jaws dropped. Miguel continued to the next slide, his voice gaining confidence. Wait, Marcus interrupted, his expression transformed from mockery to disbelief. Where did you learn to speak like that? Miguel met his eyes. I was a professor of linguistics at the University of Barcelona for 12 years before coming to this country. The silence that followed was deafening. Why are you working as a janitor? Johnson asked, his voice barely above a whisper. My wife needed specialized medical treatment only available here. By the time we arrived and got her care, my savings were gone, my credentials weren't recognized, and then she. Miguel's voice cracked slightly. I needed stable work with night hours so I could be there for my daughter after school. The atmosphere in the room had completely shifted. Where there had been cruelty and mockery moments before, now there was shame and astonishment. Can you really handle this presentation? Marcus asked, his tone now respectful. I speak 5 languages fluently, sir. Spanish was my first, but I also speak Portuguese, which might be helpful since I believe some of the Galicia Group executives are from Brazil originally. Marcus and the other executives exchanged glances, a mix of embarrassment and desperate hope on their faces. Johnson, get this man a suit from the executive closet, Marcus ordered. Vanessa, brief him on the technical aspects of the presentation. 2 hours later, Miguel sat at the conference table in a borrowed suit that fit surprisingly well. The Galicia Group representatives filed in, and introductions began. When Miguel greeted them in perfect Spanish, their faces lit up. Throughout the meeting, he moved effortlessly between languages, clarifying complex points, adding cultural context, and building a rapport that the Pinnacle team had never achieved with previous international clients. By the end of the day, the Galicia Group had signed a contract worth 3 times what Pinnacle had initially hoped for. As the executives from both companies shook hands, Carlos Galicia, the CEO, turned to Marcus. Your translator is exceptional, he said in accented English. His understanding of our regional nuances gave us confidence that your company truly understands our needs. After the Galicia team departed, the Pinnacle executives gathered around Miguel, their earlier contempt replaced by a mix of respect, gratitude, and lingering shame. I believe someone made a promise about their salary, Miguel said quietly, looking directly at Vanessa. Her face flushed. I wasn't serious about that. It was just a joke. I was serious about my abilities, Miguel replied. And your joke has cost me years of dignity. Marcus stepped forward. Vanessa, honor your word. He turned to Miguel. Better yet, we need someone with your skills permanently. I'd like to offer you a position as our Director of International Communications. The starting salary is 3 times what Vanessa makes. Miguel felt dizzy. This couldn't be happening. I can't work days, he said automatically. My daughter. We'll arrange flexible hours, Marcus interrupted. And we'll sponsor whatever additional certification you need to fully recognize your academic credentials in this country. That night, Miguel returned to his apartment earlier than usual. Mrs. Patel looked up in surprise when he knocked on her door at 8 p.m. instead of 2 a.m. "Is everything okay, Mr. Alvarez?" she asked, concerned. "Everything is wonderful," he replied, hugging the confused woman. "Sophia and I would like to invite you to dinner tomorrow to thank you for all you've done for us." When he entered their apartment, Sophia was at the kitchen table doing homework. She jumped up when she saw him. "Papa! Why are you home so early? Did you lose your job?" Miguel laughed, a sound Sophia hadn't heard often enough since her mother died. "No, mi corazón. I found a new one. One where I can use my mind the way I once did." As they sat together at their small kitchen table, Miguel told Sophia everything, about the mockery, the challenge, and the complete reversal of his fortunes. "I'm so proud of you, Papa," Sophia said, eyes shining. "Mama would be proud too." 6 months later, Miguel stood in front of a classroom at the community college, teaching an evening course in linguistics. Pinnacle had not only given him a leadership role but had encouraged him to reconnect with his passion for teaching. His days were spent building Pinnacle's international division, and 2 evenings a week, he helped others develop language skills that might change their lives too. He and Sophia had moved to a better apartment closer to her school. The college fund that had once seemed like an impossible dream was now growing steadily. And on his office wall hung a framed note from Vanessa, the check representing her salary for a month, along with a simple message: "I'm sorry. Thank you for teaching me to see people, not positions." The most remarkable change, though, wasn't in Miguel's circumstances but in the culture at Pinnacle. Marcus had instituted a company-wide initiative to recognize hidden talent throughout the organization, from the maintenance staff to the reception desk. 3 other employees had been promoted after revealing skills and education that had previously gone unnoticed. On Miguel's 1-year anniversary at his new position, Pinnacle threw a celebration. As he stood to give a speech, he looked out at faces that now showed genuine respect. "A year ago, I was invisible to most of you," he began. "Not because you couldn't see me, but because you chose not to. We all make this choice every day, to truly see the people around us or to see only the roles they play." The room was silent, everyone hanging on his words. "My daughter asked me recently if I'm angry about those years of cleaning floors when I could have been doing this work instead. I told her no. Those years taught me humility, perseverance, and the dignity of all work honestly done. They also taught me to see others who might be invisible, to recognize that the person serving your coffee might have once been a doctor in their home country, that the driver of your taxi might be a poet, that everyone has a story worth knowing." As Miguel concluded his speech, the applause was thunderous. He thought of how a single moment of standing up for himself had transformed not just his life but had rippled outward, changing an entire corporate culture. That night, as he helped Sophia with her homework, she was now studying Spanish formally, determined to connect with her heritage. She asked, "Do you think your story will help other people, Papa?" Miguel smiled. "I hope so, mi corazón. I hope it reminds people to look beyond assumptions, to speak up for themselves, and to recognize the worth in others no matter what job they do." And that's exactly why we share stories like Miguel's with you here on our channel. In a world that too often judges people by their titles rather than their talents, we need these reminders of human dignity and potential. Miguel's journey from mockery to respect shows us that sometimes the most extraordinary abilities are hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to shine. If Miguel's story touched your heart, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more inspiring real-life tales. Remember, the person you overlook today might be the one who changes your world tomorrow. Until our next story, keep your eyes, and your heart, open to the overlooked heroes all around you.